You're listening to Tehachapi with Key Budge, Corey Costello, Greg Garrett, and Ashley Whitmore.
It's Tehachapi time, Key Budge and Greg Garrett today. Greg, good morning.
Good day, sir.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
We had a city council meeting last night, and we want to recap because there are things the community should know. Of course, they can watch our council meetings on YouTube if they choose to at City of Tehachapi. But we also want to recap and talk about some of the highlights of things that occurred. And last night we kicked off the meeting with having a new city council member.
That's right.
We looked for nominations with Councilmember Keith Sakowitz having to resign because he moved, and that created an opening, and then we go through this process.
That's right. And so as you point out, just the highlights here, want to encourage people. The agenda is always on our website. You can call or come by. We'd love to go over each and every item with you if you're so inclined. But yeah, you're right. So Keith Sakowitz, he did leave the community. We're sorry to see him go. He's a great person, a big volunteer, Friends of the Depot, and many other things. But the city council decided to advertise. We've been advertising to fill that slot for the last several weeks, and a couple people applied. They ultimately selected Jeanette Power. Jeanette was the past president of the Greater Tehachapi Chamber of Commerce. She did resign from that position Monday morning, actually, right after the Mountain Festival, and so there would be no conflict between the chamber and the city, if anybody happens to think along those lines. Jeanette's very active in the community. She's been volunteering with the chamber, a real estate background, and other things. There were, again, a couple candidates, but they ultimately selected Jeanette, and then we swore her in, and she took the seat for the rest of the council meeting.
Yeah, and I want to say that with the other person that had also applied, another great community volunteer, and the council members all acknowledge that and talking about what a great community we live in here in Tehachapi, because people step up when it's time to do so.
For sure.
Yeah.
Love Tehachapi, a big part of our community. She's a big part of that organization, and just we encourage her to continue to stay involved. And, I say this a lot, but Tehachapi is just full of people that want to help and want to, move this community forward in a positive way. So thank you to all those that do that.
Yep. And then we paid some bills, as we do, as Hamed Jones and his team put together our financial bills that we have to take care of, the obligations, because just like any home or business, the city also incurs bills that we have to pay, and we make sure the city council is aware, and those were all approved.
That's very important, right? Just like at home.
Exactly right.
And so then the next thing, a special event coming up here on September 17th, which is a Sunday. The Heritage League, Tehachapi Heritage League, is once again hosting the Kids' Day at the museum. So we're going to close Green Street in front of the museum, which is 2 blocks south of the boulevard, Tehachapi Boulevard, September 17th, Sunday, 8 to 6. And that's a great event. In the past, lots of parents have brought their children. You can hang out at the museum, the Array House, but in the street they have all kinds of activities that they're going to be hosting too. So another great event for downtown Tehachapi.
Yeah, and I know that this is something the museum does, like as you mentioned, each year, and it's just a great way for the kids to come out and get exposed to the history of Tehachapi, but also, the appreciation of museums. And this might be their first opportunity to go to a museum, and maybe they'll go to a larger museum somewhere else, but this will be that first taste of, hey, there are some cool things, and you can learn quite a bit for us locally about our history, and we do have a very cool museum. Yeah,
history matters, respecting your past. You need to understand, so you don't, you don't want to redo the same thing, the problem again. You just need to know what our forefathers did and learn from that. And our museum is great. It's a great little spot.
It is. And the first time I went in, I actually went in with you as we filmed a special that we have on our YouTube channel, just kind of highlighting the museum itself. But I learned quite a bit. And then since then, we took our family in,
cool.
to see it, because I really hadn't been exposed to it.
Again, run by volunteers.
Yeah.
And the Kawayasu Museum, which is great. There's some baskets and different things, and you can learn a lot about the history of Tehachapi and beyond too. But they even have a mammoth bone in there.
They do.
That was found in Tehachapi, so a mammoth, woolly mammoth. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, for sure.
Jay Schlosser, our Development Services Director, our city engineer, he brought some things to to council, and one is very exciting.
It is, brag on the entire city. Jay usually leads these efforts when it comes to public infrastructure, but grant money is so important to receive. So you have to write the grants correctly. You have to be able to spend the money accordingly. You have to deliver the project. And we've talked about this many times. Obviously, also keep, we're in a good spot. We continue to receive grants. So the Valley Boulevard, we're calling it the Valley Park. So on Valley Boulevard, Cross Street, Mountain View, and Aspen, we own 1 acre of property there. And so we applied for a Clean California grant, which is part of Governor Newsom's budget a couple years ago. And so we were awarded $2.1 million, rounding it off, to design, engineer, and build a park. The bids went out. It came in about $700,000 over the estimate because it's hard to tell. What contractors, are they busy? Are they not busy? The price of this, the price of that. Sometimes they come in, at or below, sometimes above. But this did come in above our estimate.
And that was prior to a lot of this inflation that we've experienced.
That's
too.
right.
So it was put together with numbers of a couple of years ago.
Right.
So things have changed in our global economy.
Right, that's right. But we're going to move forward with the project. So it's going to be about, just shy of $3 million. A big investment, but that community deserves a great park. And it's going to be a 1 acre park, as I said, with what they call a 5-a-side, which is kind of a miniature soccer field, 5-a-side soccer, picnic area, grassy area. It's just going to look beautiful, and I just can't wait. So the company JTS Construction, we're going to award the bid to them today as we speak, and to get the contract signed. And we hope to have it mostly done by the end of this year. We're required to have it open by June 1 of 2024. So we have enough time to get that done. But certainly we look forward to the ribbon cutting, and that's going to be a great addition to our city.
And then we've also got we've got asphalt, and that's always exciting. And that's what people want to hear. They want to hear about their tax dollars being spent on street improvements.
Nothing like new asphalt, clean curb and gutters, street lights that are illuminated. Those sorts of things are the core of who we are and what we do. But yeah, yet another grant. And so we're going to grind and overlay D, E, F, and Poly streets. And so I'll give you the boundaries. So if you can visualize from Curry Street on D, E, and F, from Curry going west, F and E will be to Mulberry, and then D will be all the way to Mountain View. And then Poly from Tehachapi Boulevard to C Street going north-south. And then we're going to so those will be grind and overlay, just like we did with Valley Boulevard. They'll have a grinder out there. We're going to take those grindings and we're going to put them on the alleys on the north side of our city between H and I, with the boundaries being Green and Mojave. So 3 blocks worth of grindings that will spread out there and compact. So those alleys will be in far better condition than they are now. So we're really excited about, grinding and overlaying brand new asphalt, brand new streets, and using the grindings for the alleys. So this is something a little new for us, and we're excited to see how it's going to turn out. But we're confident that the grindings are going to be really useful in the alleys.
And it's nice because we're following the conclusion, very quick construction of the Valley Boulevard asphalt project. And it's going to be done a little bit differently this time because that was a major thoroughfare. School is about to open. So we gave the contractor the ability to shut it down. Mm-hmm. We used detours, and they were able to work around the clock if they wanted to get that project done before school opened.
Yeah. Now with this one, we're probably not going to allow them to close it because they're residential streets. People need to come and go. Valley was a little easier to do that, but super excited. We're on a roll. We created this matrix. We've talked about that again several times. Don Marsh, our Public Works Director, evaluating all of our streets. And then we take that and we use SB1, Senate Bill 1 money, which is gas tax money, combined with some general fund and other. And so we've created this matrix and this plan, this 10-year plan to repave our city. And man, we're just hitting on all cylinders. I couldn't be more proud.
Yeah. And we're coming out of a once in 100-year storm.
Yeah.
And we had Mountain Festival, and we had a lot of things. A lot of decisions had to be made. And I want to just kind of go back, because you did recap the weekend's events with council. There was Mountain Festival is a big deal. It's the 60th anniversary. This once in a 100-year storm is rolling through. We're getting briefed by the National Weather Service. The County of Kern has opened up its Emergency Operations Center, and we're being warned of flash flooding and the like. And we've got this big weekend of events, but public safety is what really is our main concern.
Yeah, we take that very serious. So we had one heck of a weekend. As you mentioned, the 60th anniversary of the Mountain Festival was a big deal. We had a lot of people coming home, a lot of visitors planning on coming up. And we had our finger on the pulse. And so the rain was coming. We had this hurricane that turned into a tropical storm, and the rain. So as you mentioned, I was on the phone with Senator Grove every day for 3 days. Assemblyman Fong, Speaker of the House's staff, Kern County Emergency Operations, just National Weather Service briefing twice a day. So we were really understanding what was on the horizon. Networking with Jeanette when she worked at the chamber and her team, TMRA out at the rodeo grounds, Gail Caldwell for the arts and crafts there at Railroad Park, and on and on and on. And so we were literally working 24 hours during that time frame. Of course, our police department around the clock monitoring things, our public works getting ready, staging different things. And yeah, we did have to cancel Sunday's events. It was the right call. We received over 5 inches of rain in that 14-hour period in the city of Tehachapi. So we weren't sure if we're going to get 1 or 10. You know how the weather predictions are hard. They're really hard. But we made the right call, and everybody really rose to the occasion. Our public works department were out 24/7, fully staffed. We were cleaning, keeping the debris from clogging the storm drains, which is key, right? When you get 5 inches of rain in one day, if you don't allow that water to keep flowing, and if it starts to back up, that's when you have serious problems. So our management, our public works crew, our police department, everybody just rose to the occasion, and all of the visitors and the residents all, really pulled together and did the right thing, and we had no issues. It was amazing. I mean, who've ever heard of 5 inches of rain in one day?
Yeah.
I mean, we had some damage. We did. Some of our culverts and different things have been damaged. It's my understanding that the County of Kern will be declaring a disaster officially. So what does that mean? That means, some paperwork, and you're working with the state, maybe the federal government, so that you can potentially get a refund, or not a refund, kind of backfilling the dollars if you
Right.
have to repair things, right? You've heard of that. You have to keep track of your hours. You have to keep track of what you may or may not repair, those sorts of things. Quite frankly, if the state makes the money available, I'd rather use the state money than our money, right? Because we do have some repairs that we have to make. So we may be able to tag on to the County of Kern's disaster declaration.
And I look back to last week where I was having news media contact me, and they were saying, "What are your biggest concerns?" I go, I really, at this point, it's the areas that surround me that I would, as a resident of the area, are more concerned with. I go, we really take pride in having a maintenance schedule, checking our infrastructure. So, and we went right into exactly what I talked about come Monday morning, where the public works team immediately, beginning at 6 a.m, after they'd worked the entire weekend doing cleanup, now it was assessing. Mm-hmm. And they went street by street. And in talking with Don and Tyler from our public works leadership, the entire department was out there assessing every street, every sidewalk, and going through to see, was there damage, what needs to be repaired, what needs to be cleaned. And then we go through those processes of cleaning out those storm drains to get ready for the next weather event that occurs, whether it's tomorrow, next week, a month, or 6 months from now. They're doing the preparation now to make sure that it's ready. And I just was very confident in delivering that message to the media last week. And then when the media was reaching out during the storm and saying, hey, how's the city of Tehachapi holding up? I go, as expected, we're doing very well.
Well, our engineering team has been, again, aggressively designing engineering, obtaining grant funds to increase our capacity, our storm drain capacity. Remember just a couple of years ago, we had that, at the intersection of Curry and Valley, that big dip. Well, now it's all underground. That's just one little example. We continue to piece this together because we have a plan for the city. And as funds become available, or developer funds maybe, lots of retention and detention basins, slowing the water. The big $7 million grant that we received from the FAA just a couple weeks ago, that's part of our storm drain system at the airport. Everything is flowing to the north, going down. So you have to be able to capture it, slow it down, and manage that system. And then during the rain, there was an earthquake, a 5.1 or 2, something like that, and many aftershocks down in Ojai, which is just over the hill. So it's always be prepared. You know what you're doing right now, but you never know what the next minute is going to bring. And so we were prepared for that too.
And I know that you acknowledged and thanked, and you've personally thanked the members of our public works department, our police department, that were out there in the rain, during the storm, and making sure that roadways were clear and the public was safe. And I think we can acknowledge them once again right here because, I can tell you from my past career in law enforcement, there's nothing like being out in those storms. I remember from the El Nino times, 15, 20 years ago, being out in a black and white, and you get there and you're soaking wet, but you trudge through until the end of shift. Just to make sure the public's safe. Yeah,
that's so true. Don Marsh, Jay, myself, others, we would drive around a lot in town and just monitoring, checking ourselves, right? Because that's what you do. And every couple of minutes I'd bump into a public works employee, here or there, taking a limb out of the traffic lanes, or maybe unclogging a drain, get out and help them or do whatever. But it was a team effort.
And I really am very proud of everyone that was involved, and I didn't hear any complaints. And I got to say that the community did a great job too, because it doesn't run as smooth as it did without the cooperation of the residents of our community.
The last thing you want to do is be out and trying to keep the water flowing, and then you have, citizens or maybe visitors kind of getting in the way. I mean, that's kind of a bold statement, but they just kind of retreated back into their houses and hunkered down and took care of their families, right? It's, again, that group effort, that team effort. You do what you do, I do what I do, and together we do a good thing, right? It was the day where we just all hunkered down.
Yeah. And I know there's people listening go, hey, they shut down the freeway. And goes, we're talking about things that happen within the city of Tehachapi, things that we have under our control, under our jurisdiction and oversight. The things that occurred outside in the unincorporated areas or along State Highway 58, Caltrans was addressing, they do the best that they can. We are focused right here within the city limits and making sure that we are ready, always ready. And I think that this was one of those tests.
That's right. And you mentioned that. It's a good segue, because we're in constant contact with California Highway Patrol, CHP. I've been in constant contact with Senator Grove and Tony Travares, the Caltrans state director, about the 58 closure and at Cameron Canyon. So just this morning, Senator Grove texted me at 6:00, telling me, giving me an update, because she's in Sacramento, across the hall from Caltrans director, and so we're just in constant communication, and so we know, and so you, Key, can put this information out with our communication management and letting our residents know and beyond what's happening in our region.
Yeah, we work very closely with the Highway Patrol out of Mojave, with Caltrans out of District 9, where their communication bases are, to try and share the information as it's happening. So even though something may not have been occurring in the city, the areas that surround us, I try and share that information, because it does have an impact or a ripple effect back to us.
Yeah.
So.
And at the end of the day, the Mountain Festival was, it's a mountain festival to remember. Is it not?
There you go.
Right. Somebody should make a shirt.
Yes.
That talks about tropical depression, earthquake, and canceling, and this and that. The Mountain Festival is always fun. It's exciting. It's a great time. Bummed that it rained, but it did, and we managed our way through it. all of us managed our way through it. So see you next year at the 61st.
Yeah, and there's plenty of other events that are coming up to look forward to. As you talked about the Kids' Day at the museum, we'll have our Apple Festival, we'll have the Hometown Christmas, we'll have our Veterans Day celebration. There'll be a lot of different things that are occurring.
Yeah, and maybe we'll reschedule the car show, in the next several weeks, before winter hits. We can have the car show somewhere.
Yeah.
So.
And then we've also got the fall market with the local farmers.
That's right.
And Centennial Plaza every Thursday from 4 to 7. There's lots of little things that we're going to fill some of our weekends.
That's right. And in the construction, that we talk about the Valley Boulevard Park project and the repaving, just to remind everybody, be safe, be cautious, be aware of your surroundings when you enter a construction zone.
Yes. All right. Well, Greg, anything else?
I think we're good, Keith. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Covered a lot. It was a good city council meeting, and it's good information to share back.
That's right.
Tied in with a once-in-a-100-year storm.
There you go.
All right, folks, if you've got a question based on what we've talked about today, please send us an email, media@TehachapiCityHall.com. As Greg had mentioned, each of our agendas is posted several days before our council meetings. If you'd like to find out what's going on, you can always go to liveuptehachapi.com, head over to the agendas, and you can stay up to date that way also. We appreciate the time you spend with us, and we'll catch you again soon right here on Tehachapod.
Tehachapod is a conversation about Tehachapi, featuring the community members who make this such a special place to call home. If you have a question or a thought you'd like to share, email media@TehachapiCityHall.com. Thank you to Gary Mazzola for sharing his song, This is Tehachapi.